Welcome to the Complete Story series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read them dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Now today we're going to be covering an interesting character, the Cosmic Ghost Rider. And his origin is in the book, so I'm not really going to go much into that. But this is a character that was introduced during the Thanos storyline and then allowed to have a 5-issue miniseries. So, it's incredible, it's fun, and I just wanted to tell you guys about the Cosmic Ghost Rider. So, check out the video.
Some would say that Frank Castle has gone through some pretty terrible things in his life. He was a soldier, witnessed his family being murdered before his eyes. He took that anger and fought the war on terror and then died at the hands of Thanos. Anyone would have thought that that would have been the end of it, but for Frank Castle, it wasn't. He went to hell. He became the spirit of vengeance. He went crazy, and then he became Galactus' herald. He was granted cosmic power and became the right-hand man of Thanos. You know, the guy that killed him before. And then he met death, as in the literal embodiment of death, and then he died again. Which now brings us to the great halls of Valhalla, as Frank gets slammed into a wall by one of the other gods residing there. He picks himself up, and the god laughs, stating that Odin must have gone soft for allowing mortals here. Or perhaps he's in need of a new barmaid. Frank wipes the blood from his mouth, stating that he has killed a few gods in his time. But what are you the god of? Big talk? The god swings in anger, and Frank jumps up, kneeing the god in the face, throwing him onto a table. The god laughs again, asking, "Is that all you have? Who taught you to fight?" Frank picks up a broken bottle, telling him, "Thanos, the devil, and the United States Marine Corps." A little while later, Frank sits alone sipping on his ale, and a booming voice calls out to him. Frank looks up to see Odin, asking, "What do you want?" And Odin tells him a warrior of Valhalla traditionally stands while being addressed by Odin himself. But word has traveled that he severed the nose of Cold Axe the Grave with a broken shard of the goblet this morning. Is it true? Frank asks, "Was Cold Axe the guy who liked to run his mouth about killing little kids during the war?" And Odin shouts, "How dare you!" Cold Axe the Grave fought against the orphaned hordes of Niflheim, whose bastard generals hid like cowards behind an army of undead fairy fold. Some of whom were children, yes. Frank goes back to drinking, stating, "Yeah, that's him. Wanted to put him down for good, but it turns out you really can't kill anyone here. But take a man's nose, that'll make him think." Odin sighs, telling Frank that there would be a time when he would have answered his insolent tone by chaining him to the back of a razor boar while his ravens feasted on his eyelids. Truth is, he's tired, and Cold Axe the Grave is a minor god, hardly worthy of his nose. So explain. Why is it that he hates this place so? Why spit in the face of the Allfather after he tore apart the very fabric of space to retrieve him from a dead timeline? Frank pauses for a moment, and he takes another drink, stating, "I never asked to be in your stupid heaven. The things I did back on Earth, the only way that I ever made it right was telling myself that one day I would be punished too. Only thing is, that time never came. I sold my soul to the devil, and still, for another chance, I rode with Thanos, and now I get a noble death? My family is dead, what about them? No one ever ripped time apart to give them another chance, so ask again why I spit in your face." Odin stares at Frank, and then he tells him to come. As Frank follows Odin, he says that he brought him here because he was a warrior of some note, and was slain by the infuriating hammer that his son Thor holds so dear. If he does not wish to stay, he's not being forced to, which reminds him of an old Midgard saying that he's quite fond of. I believe it is, "Screw you and the horse that you rode in on." As Frank looks past Odin, he sees his cosmic bike and his weapons along the wall, and he asks, "How did you?" Odin tells him that he wishes it, he has it. He does not deserve to be in Valhalla. His soul is not at rest, and perhaps it never will be. But if he wishes to spend eternity fulfilling some unfinished, vengeful task, then so be it. As Allfather, he has the magic to send him to any time and place in all of creation. So say it and it shall be done. But decide now this path so that he may wipe his hands of this mistake. Frank picks up his helmet, asking, "Will I still be myself, like keep my mind this time?" And Odin tells him, "I'll do what I can to mitigate the change, but understand that the powers that I return to you are not fit for the mortal mind. Not even you." Frank puts on his helmet, stating, "No, I've been down that road. I ain't going." But before Frank can finish, his head bursts into flames, and Odin holds out his hand, stating, "I wasn't offering you a choice." Frank falls to his knees, shouting, "No, I can't!" But as the spirit of vengeance begins to rise up inside of him, Frank yells, "It's about freaking time!" As he puts on the helmet and gears up, he says, "There's actually a time I'd like to go back to. A place where everything went wrong. Send me to Titan. And just as Frank wished, he was brought to Titan, back to the time where Thanos was still an infant, before he had a chance to become what he became. In an age where time-traveling assassins are a thing, though, how come no one has ever stopped Thanos while he slept in his crib? Well, here's the answer. Someone did. As Frank points his gun down at baby Thanos, Thanos leaps up from his crib, punching Frank, shouting, "Where's my mother? Who are you? What do you want?" Frank asks, "How are you already like this?" "Whatever, let's just take a good look at those eyes." Back when Frank was the right-hand man of King Thanos would make him give him the penance stare every morning, inflict all of the pain and misery that he ever dished out. King Thanos loved it, but this baby is innocent. This ain't Thanos. Yet. Frank releases baby Thanos, and Thanos asks, "What was that? Felt odd, like..." But before baby Thanos could finish, Frank punches and knocks him out, stating, "I can't kill you, and I can't leave you. Kid stays here, you're gonna turn into a monster." Frank lifts his gun up, pointing it at the baby, and then says, maybe there's another chance at redemption." "Screw it! Only one way to find out!" He takes his chain, strapping the 3-year-old baby Thanos to his chest, and he sets off in an attempt to rehabilitate him. A few days later, on the planet of Marcus Centauri, Frank sits at a bar telling the bartender to give him another round. Because on this planet, there's only 2 things you need to know. They have a killer happy hour, and in about 10 minutes, everyone and everything on this planet is going to die. Frank explains to baby Thanos that he doesn't really believe in the whole "your destiny is set" thing. Like, maybe he can grow up and not turn into a cosmic serial killer? Baby Thanos asks him, "What's a serial killer?" And Frank says, "Alright, maybe that wasn't a good reference." The bartender tells Frank that he's not sure what he's trying to pull here, but that kid ain't drinking. Frank tells him, "I'm old enough for the both of us, so mind your own damn business." The bartender walks off, telling him that he's getting the manager, and Frank yells, "Good! Get an army! See if I give a crap!" Frank looks back at baby Thanos and says, "How is it?" Baby Thanos finishes his drink, stating, "It's yucky! Tell me more about murder." Seconds later, a large alien walks up to Frank, telling him, "Okay, it's time to go. We don't allow babies in here." Frank tells him, "It's cool. The baby's cool. Besides, I'm waiting for a friend. What do you care? You're all gonna die soon anyway." The alien grabs Frank, asking, "Is that right? How about... Wait, what the hell is that?" Baby Thanos jumps up from his bar stool, lunging at the alien with a broken beer bottle. Frank sighs, pulling on the chain, whipping baby Thanos back onto his arm. Then he holds out his other, shouting, "Okay, everyone be cool. I'm trying really hard to get this kid on the right path, and I'd rather not murder all of you in front of him." Baby Thanos then says, "Why can't we just do the murder, if they're all gonna die anyway?" Frank tells him, "Well, yeah, but there's a difference between killing people and just letting them die." The alien asks Frank, why does he keep stating that they're all gonna die? And Frank points out the window, telling him, "Have a look yourself." Outside, Galactus arrives to devour the planet. The alien asks how do they stop it, and Frank says, "I'm gonna go have a little chat with my friend over there." And the alien asks him, "Will you do that?" And Frank yells, "Of course! It's what heroes do." Baby Thanos then asks, "What is the big purple man doing?" And Frank says, "Well, he's about to eat this planet. It's kind of his thing." Galactus yells, "Do not attempt to interfere. Galactus will not be stopped. Galactus hungers." Frank says, "Yeah, man, Frank don't care. Look, I got a bit of a situation I could use some help with." "Wait, wasn't there something about this planet?" Just then, baby Thanos shouts, "Fishes!" And Frank looks back and says, "Oh, right, the swarm of star sharks." Galactus screams, destroying the sharks, and as it rains blood, baby Thanos laughs, "Again! Again!" Galactus then looks back at Frank, blasting him, and as the smoke clears, Frank asks, "Can you not do that again? I got a baby here." Galactus stares at him for a moment. "You withstood the power cosmic. What are you?" Frank dusts off his shoulders, telling him, "I already told you. I'm Frank. Use that weird cosmic telepathic thing. Just look into my head." Galactus focuses his eyes on Frank, and he peers into his mind, seeing the events of how they became friends, and how they actually fought together. That was until Thanos appeared and struck him down, and how Thanos took Frank and made him into a slave. Galactus leans back, stating, "I was not expecting so much inside you. We were once allies. Then you joined the Mad Titan, this Thanos." Frank says, "Yeah, but I had a plan. I was gonna slit his throat or something, but that didn't work out so good. Now I'm trying to fix things here with Thanos as a baby." Galactus looks at baby Thanos and he tells him, "Ah, so you have brought the child so that we may kill it." Frank tells him, "Actually, no, I'm trying a different approach. I'm going to rehabilitate the kid so that maybe he won't." Galactus stops him, telling him, "This boy does not deserve chances. Give Thanos to Galactus. Galactus will kill the child." Frank looks at baby Thanos, and as baby Thanos looks back, Frank yells, You know what? No! Baby Thanos yells, Sky Baby! And Frank turns to him confused. What? Frank looks over and sees Yuata the Watcher, and he says, oh, ha! Sky Baby, see? Yuata's here to see that this can work out. Yuata stops him and tells him, that is incorrect. You're attempting to change a universal constant, like trying to unleash the Phoenix or stop the march of time. The child's path is immutable. Thanos has been chosen by an undefeated opponent. As Watcher, I've come to witness the worst choice that any living being has ever made in the history of thought, and the immediate consequences thereof. Frank turns back telling him, I'm sick of all this. I'm gonna raise the child myself, and both of you big-headed freaks can go crap yourselves. Yuata laughs, telling him, there it is. Frank Castle, by making this choice, you have created a timeline in which the Punisher raises Thanos as a child. Frank looks back, telling him, okay, so? And Yuata tells him, watch this. A few seconds later, Frank is blown out of the sky and a man steps on his helmet, telling him, Frank Castle, Punisher, the Rider, whatever, step away from the baby. Frank asks him who the hell is he. The man points his gun at him, telling him, hi, name's Nathan Summers. I'm from the future and we're the Guardians of the Galaxy. Frank jumps onto his cosmic bike to escape, and Baby Thanos asks, why are you running? Can you not kill these people? Frank tells him, no, well, yeah, I could. So very easily, but that's not the point. Give me a second to think. Just then, Captain Marvel, Kamala Khan, throws her shield, hitting Frank, causing him to crash. He quickly grabs his gun, shouting, no one take another step. If you think I'm afraid of who are you again? Cable tells him, I already told you, the Guardians of the Galaxy. Along with the Juggerduck, which is Howard of the Duck in possession of the Gem of Sidorak, Captain Marvel, who's all grown up with Captain America's shield, Iron Groot, which is a rocket piloting a mech suit made out of his tree buddy, and last but not least, Jubilee. Cable then says, now that we got that out of the way, give me the baby. Frank gets back on his bike, telling him, that's cool, I'd love to give you the baby, except I don't want to, and I really don't care about your dumb future. Kamala then shouts, asking, do you not get it? We're here now to take Thanos away from you because obviously he turned evil, you stupid! Frank walks off, telling him, right, I'm the stupid one, because I'm the one who forgot about the giant purple dude. Just then, Cable's team is obliterated by the power of Galactus, and Frank laughs, telling him, haha, there's my old friend. Galactus tells him, thank me not. Galactus will still kill the child. No one shall deny Galactus' vengeance for killing Galactus. But while they talk, Cable leans up from the rubble and says, slide by one. Suddenly, everything turns white, and Frank asks, what is that supposed to mean? The slightly older Cable grabs Galactus, loads him into a gun, stating, it means that we're at a timeline where we perfected the perfect solution for our Galactus problem, courtesy of Hank Pym. Galactus shouts, unhand me! And Cable tells him, sure! And he fires the gun into the sky. Frank then tells him, what the hell was that? Did you just kill? But Cable stops him, telling him, nah, the Pym particles will wear off in a bit, he's gonna be fine. Frank then tells him, look, not cool. The whole thing is between us. Let me just... But Cable stops him again, telling him, hold that thought. Slide by one. Frank swings as Cable disappears again, and then he's struck in the back. A slightly older Cable steps out with a new team, stating, okay, I got a list of people just begging to come back and end you. Guardians, kill the baby. Frank gets up, running to his bike, and as he takes off, he tosses Baby Thanos to the Watcher and tells him, hang on to this! I don't want the baby to see what I'm about to do. He turns back, decimating Cable's new team, and Cable shouts, slide by 10! Another team appears with an even older Cable, which Frank once again easily defeats. Cable continues calling in teams from the future, getting older and older each time, but the results always end up the same, with Frank utterly destroying whatever is thrown at him. But even after a while, fighting that many people will take its toll on anyone. Even the Cosmic Ghost Rider. As Iron Fist punches Frank out, Baby Thanos begins to get frustrated. She-Hulk starts cracking her knuckles, and with one punch to the head, everything goes black. 15 minutes later, Frank wakes up asking, why am I not dead? And then he looks up and says, oh, hell! Across the way, Baby Thanos has ripped Cable's arm off, but before he could beat Cable with it, red chains begin to wrap around him. Frank starts to pull Baby Thanos back, asking, what did you do? And Baby Thanos sighs, stating, no murder. Frank yells, that's right, no murder. Cable begins to speak, but before he can finish, slide by, Frank starts to shoot it, telling him, no more sliding. Why can't you just leave us alone? Cable tells him that he doesn't understand. The Thanos that he raises, he thinks he knows, but he doesn't. He's worse. Oh God, he's so much worse. Please, you have to. But before Cable could finish, there's a blam and his head explodes. Frank looks back to see an older Thanos wearing a Punisher shirt, stepping out of a portal, stating, hey Dad, sorry I'm late. Thanos then tells him, come on, we gotta go. Frank steps back, telling him, wait, just wait, I gotta process all of this for a second. But baby Thanos asks, who's the ugly man? And Frank tells him, that's the version of you that I raised into the future. And baby Thanos tells him, oh. He jumps up, walking over to Thanos, looking him up and down and asks, are you a cosmic serial killer? Thanos then laughs, telling him, oh, no, not anymore. And baby Thanos asks, well, what are you? Thanos pounds his chest, telling him, I'm the Punisher. And Frank holds up his head, stating, oh, for crap's sake! Thanos tells Frank, we need to hurry, father. The portal won't hold much longer. Frank sighs, telling him, sure, whatever. Let's go and see whatever godforsaken hell you've created this time. As Frank walks through the portal, he sees a paradise, a world untouched by destruction, families out in the fields playing. Frank asks him, what is this beautiful place? Thanos smiles, telling him, we did this together. It's the result of our hard work. No crime, no predation, a place where families can feel safe and children can grow. This is our home. Our home. Frank takes a moment to let it all sink in and says, oh, I knew it! A tear rolls down his eyes and he says, I knew that there was hope. But then Thanos looks at him, telling him, there's something else I need to show you. Frank looks down at a grave marked with his name and he asks, how did it happen? They scoured the heaven and the earth, but they freed him from his curse. And from there, it was a matter of... Frank tells him, no, stop. I don't want to know how I died. Was it good? Did my life matter? A bit of dread comes over Thanos and he says that it was my greatest honor to have. But before he could finish, Frank looks off and says, wait, is that smoke? Oh my God, what have you done? He then sees a destroyed city with statues of Thanos wearing the Punisher emblem scattered around. Frank asks, what is this? And Thanos tells him, those people, they didn't want the peace that we brought. They wanted murder, crime, injustice, hate. I couldn't allow it to spread, so I simply separated them, cast them out. It was the merciful thing to do, yes? This is where Cable and his rebellion came from. The micro-centuries have been effective in the past at silencing these insurgencies, but one slipped through. Frank yells, no! This isn't right! It's insane! This is not what I wanted! Those people are suffering! They're being tortured! Thanos shouts, no! I'm punishing them! Frank tells him, no! What you're doing is leaving people to die in there! That's when baby Thanos asks, why is that wrong? You left an entire planet to die when the purple giant came to eat them! There's a difference between killing people and letting them die. Frank pauses and says, wait, how? Damn it! How did I end up surrounded by two of you, again? Thanos then begins to tell him, because we have been chosen as instruments of. Frank shouts, no! Don't say it. There's no such thing as destiny. We can change things. We don't have to become this. Thanos asks, what would you have had me do? You raised me not to kill, yet we cannot allow these people to intermingle with the good. They will never accept the life that we have given them. They're incapable of peace. They cannot be redeemed. Do you not understand what we are protecting? Frank looks over at a lone house, and on the porch is him and his wife. He asks how is it possible, and Thanos tells him because he was there. When we left Titan, you went back to Earth, and when those people came, I stopped them. Frank looks back at Thanos, telling him, no, this isn't real, that's not me, that's not my wife, because if she was still here, none of this would have happened. My life would have been perfect, so how can I still end up working for you? Frank picks up baby Thanos, and he says, it all started with you, and every dimension and every timeline. You have turned into some kind of a monster, and I won't let that happen again. As Frank holds his gun to baby Thanos' head, Thanos' eyes glow, and he tells Frank, put the gun down. Frank shouts, no, this ends now. I should have done this a long time ago. And that's when Thanos releases a blast from his eyes, knocking Frank down, telling him, you forget who you are threatening. Thanos picks Frank up, throwing him against the gravestone, shouting, it didn't have to be this way. We could have ruled the world together. But worry not, father. There's still a place for you here, as my herald. Join me. Accept what you were always meant to be. Frank looks at Thanos' hand, and then at baby Thanos, and he reaches out. Frank's hand doesn't grasp Thanos, but instead he releases a blast of cosmic energy, knocking Thanos off the ledge and into the ruined city. Baby Thanos begins to clap, shouting, again, again! And Frank tells him, no, never again. Just listen. No matter what happens, this isn't you. You don't have to be anything you don't want to be. Just do me a favor. Don't watch what has to come next. Frank jumps down into the city and he stands back up and he walks towards Thanos, telling him, if it wasn't clear, then that's a no. Then you shall die. The two of them go back and forth, exchanging blows, and Thanos says, we've done this fight before and you lose every time. Frank begins to build up the cosmic energy, asking, what fight? And then he releases all of it, nearly stripping the flesh off of Thanos' bones. Frank shouts, asking, do you know how much I have to hold back? To not destroy worlds from just walking? I've tried to change you. To change this! But you are not my son. My children are dead and there's nothing that will change that. A massive explosion goes off and Thanos sits there bleeding and he laughs. Is that all you have? Frank kneels down, telling him, no, you've got one more thing coming. Penance! Frank grabs onto Thanos' head and his power begins to peel away at Thanos' skull until there's nothing left but bone. Frank then rips the skull from its spine, telling him, penance means punishment, you ugly son of a... He crushes the skull and looks at everyone, telling them, yeah, you're free now. And just then a young girl runs down asking Frank if he's Frank Castle. Her name is Hope. Is Cable with him by any chance? Frank tells her that he'll be along soon. Kinda got tied up. Hope tells him, that's okay. If you see him again, can you give him this? I fixed it up for him while he was gone. Frank opens up the box and in it he sees, well, I'll be damned. He heads back to the fields where he left baby Thanos and he finds his other self holding him. Frank's other self asks baby Thanos where he came from and baby Thanos responds, Thanos has soiled himself. Frank shouts to put down the baby and step away. Frank's other self holds out the baby, telling him, take him. Frank takes baby Thanos, telling him, don't beg. Don't ever beg. Frank's other self's wife asks if it's really him, and Frank looks back with a faint glimmer of hope, walking off. Baby Thanos then asks, we're going back now, aren't we? And Frank tells him, yeah. Baby Thanos then tells him, won't the timeline die then? And Frank tells him, yeah, it will, but at least they'll die with some hope. Frank returns to the timeline where baby Thanos was once taken and he lays him back in the crib, and as he leaves, the woman tells him, thank you. He looks over and shouts, for the love of, thanks for what? Lady Death says that someone has to teach the boy how to kill, right? Frank pauses and says, ah, crap! Can you at least tell me something? Why me? Why won't you just leave me alone? Can't there be like a second chance? Death shrugs and says, not with her, no. Once she's chosen a being as her living instrument on the mortal plane, their path is set in stone. I choose many children, Frank Castle. Frank scoffs, and as he leaves, he says, well, get in line. I ain't done yet. I'm not sure if there's any redemption out there for someone like me. Well, I'm not even sure that I would deserve it anyway. But honestly, screw it. Only one way to find out.
And there you have it, Cosmic Ghost Rider. Now, the reason I wanted to do this video is simple. He's joining up with the Guardians of the Galaxy very soon. Donny Cates is going to be taking up that mantle. He's going to be doing the Guardians of the Galaxy run. I'm a huge fan of the Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm a huge fan of Cosmic Ghost Rider, and I am humongously interested how a character this powerful is not going to just completely blow everything out of the water. Are they going to nerf him? Are they just going to let him be himself? Who knows? But it's going to be interesting because Cosmic Ghost Rider is just crazy and it doesn't make sense. Frank Castle it doesn't make sense. Why is this so amazing? So don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you want to keep up to date as to what is happening right here in your favorite comic books as we cover Marvel, DC, and indie books. And we also go into some things like video game lore and movie recaps. We do all of these things right here at Comicstorian. So if you want to keep up to date on your favorite pop culture, please consider subscribing. And give this video a like if you enjoyed it, because it really does help us gauge what videos to keep going with for you guys to enjoy. Anyway, let me know in the comments down below what you thought about Cosmic Ghost Rider, and I'll see you next time right here at Comicstorian!